What's up, everyone? In this video, we are going to go over how I took this sketch and put it on a wall. Well, let's get right into it. All right, so the first thing I did was I opened up Procreate on my iPad Pro. I put an outline I made in my sketchbook into the program and warped it a little bit to fit the shape of the wall. From there, I relined it to make a clean outline. This was going to be done at a graffiti jam at Pope Commons in Hartford, Connecticut. I was going to be painting next to my crewmate and friend Twice. So when I talked to him about a color scheme, he had mentioned purple, lime green, and maybe some orange. I wanted to create one of my super animals for this wall, and based on the color scheme, I thought Joker would be a good choice, but then Twice recommended the Riddler, and I thought that was a great idea. I knew green and purple were the main colors for Riddler, but I didn't know how exactly I would add orange, so I thought maybe I would make the character a fox dressed as the Riddler. Spoiler alert, we actually didn't even end up adding much orange to this wall. But now that I've got my sketch, I'm ready to bring it to life. So once I got to the wall, I decided to loosely map out a doodle grid. Now, I don't like using doodle grids per se for graffiti because I feel like it should be loose, flowy, and fit the wall well, but I had to see where the piece and character were going to land, so I roughed out a loose doodle grid on the left side of the wall and a more detailed doodle grid for the character on the right side of the wall. From there, I opened my Doodle Grid app. It first asks you for your canvas, which is the photo of the wall. Next, it'll ask for your reference, which is your sketch that you want to put onto the wall. From there, I'm able to move my sketch to put it exactly where I want it located on the wall. I can then change the opacity to make sure that I can see my doodle grid through the image. Once everything is exactly where I want it, I screenshot the image. I'm then able to zoom in on the image and use the reference points. For instance, I could see where the V is next to the blob, and it's kind of a center point, so I'm going to start there. Since the wall was painted black, I used a can of black to erase my doodle grid because, well, to be honest, it just looked cooler and no one needed to know that I used a doodle grid. Anyways, let's get this thing colored in. I really had no idea how this color scheme was going to work out. I was just trusting Twice on this. We had talked about maybe using like a lime green as the outline, so I figured I'd go a little darker at the top with the purple and kind of create a blend towards the bottom where it got a little lighter. I also thought it'd be kind of neat to make a little bit of a transparent section where the E crosses over the K, and that'll be more apparent later. I should also probably point out that last minute, Twice had texted me and said, hey, I'm bringing pink as well. I gotta say though, I am super happy with the way this color scheme worked out. When I backed up, that lime green was super electric across the entire parking lot. Now, I was a little hesitant to add the lime green around everything. I thought that because the pink was kind of a mid-tone, white would be a better choice around the pink sections. I'm always a fan of multicolor fills and multicolor outlines as long as they're done right and there's a lot of contrast. This is something that I've done with my artwork throughout ever since I've done graffiti. It's just been super fun for me to kind of combine colors and see how they work together. I also wanted to step it up a little bit and add some dimension to the graffiti section. So I added some lights and some darks to the 3D of the letters. You can see right now I'm adding some highlights, but I also added that dark green into the 3D of the graffiti section on the K, just to kind of make it pop a little more. And I also added some gray to the white section, just so that that wouldn't be as flat and that would pop more as well. If you guys have been following my work for a while now, you know, of course, I am using my favorite cap, that is the level 1 cap, to do all of my line work. As I always say, this is just one of the most versatile caps for me. I will, of course, be using the tiny pink stencil cap later when I get to the character. At this point, I feel good about how everything's going. I've got my good formula where it's just the blend from dark purple to the light purple at the bottom, doing the lime green around the purple sections, white around the pink sections. So it's time to just cruise along, fill in the piece, and bring it to life so we can get to that character. The more I worked on this piece, the more I really got to just appreciate the color scheme that Twice had picked. And every time I stepped back, this thing just popped off the wall. I was really happy about that, just having such a dark background with such vibrant colors. And I was so scared to add background. I know it was something that Twice and I had talked about, and you'll see later on, he did do a little bit of background behind his piece. But I was so scared to ruin mine. I just wanted it to look like a nice sticker on the wall, something super clean, or at least as clean as I could get it. And at the end of the day, I'm just a big fan of the expression less is more. Sometimes just keeping it simple is all you need to do. I've found that there's been times that I've overcomplicated something. I've added too much and it just kind of takes away from the piece. Every once in a while, it's kind of nice to paint on a black background just because you can just cut back so easily and make things look sharp. Definitely a huge benefit. But I will say, when there's any other color, it's kind of nice when you're able to add a shadow effect. Just kind of make it look like the piece is floating on the wall, has a little drop shadow, or maybe the character has a shadow. Whatever it takes to enhance it. But I gotta say, with these colors, I mean, this thing read across a parking lot. I was super happy about that. All right, finally time to start that character. It was really nice that I didn't have to think about a color scheme for this character. It was already done for me. Obviously, we are just going with the Riddler's outfit to get the point across. And as usual, you'll see that I am starting at the top to get all of the harder work out of the way and work my way down. Also convenient to make sure that I don't drip on anything that would have already been done at the bottom. I remember having so much fun at this point because I knew that the graffiti portion was done. The character was cruising along, so I did have time to go hang out with some people, made some rounds, went around and talked to everyone that was at the wall. Unfortunately, I do not have video footage of the full wall because as of right now, the last time I went down to the wall, people were still working on their pieces. I'm hoping everything gets wrapped up soon, but if you happen to be in the Hartford area, this is at Pope Commons in Hartford. There's about 500 feet of wall at least, with so many different artists, such a variety. There's some fine artists, there's graffiti artists, there's so much to see down there, so definitely worth checking out. And if you're interested in going to this location and you don't know where it is, I will leave the address in the description of this video. You can kind of tell a little bit from the sky in the upper left corner that it was about to rain any second. I felt a couple raindrops here and there, but I just kept pushing along, and I was so happy that I was actually able to get all of the graffiti and all of this character done in one day. My original plan was to break it up, but when I knew that the second day was going to be rained out, I had no choice but to just move along as fast as I could and get both portions completed. Earlier, I stated that I work from the top down to the bottom to prevent drips from happening on anything that may have been finished at the bottom if I have to go back up top. Now, you may notice that the eyes, the band around the eyes, the mouth, sections like that are not done. And the reason is, honestly, I have said this in another video, I do this for you, the viewer, because I feel like if I had finished the entire head and face of the fox, you might not care about the rest of it. There's not a whole lot going on, but there is some like emotion and expression with the pose. But all in all, I feel like it's human nature to just look at the eyes of a character. And if I did that, you might not care about the rest of it. So I'm kind of just dragging it out, working my way around the piece and hoping that when I go back up top, I don't drip on anything that's finished below. And it's also kind of fun for me to see this thing come to life and know that things like the body, the suit, all that is kind of tedious stuff, to be honest, but it has to get done. So I kind of like taking a break from all the focal points, like the facial features, and just getting some of that tedious stuff out of the way so that at the very end, I can kind of reward myself with something fun like the eyes. I'm really excited for you guys to see Twice's piece too at the end because he was doing a lot of cool little details. He did some question marks inside of his fill, and he added the machine that the Riddler used. And I remember at one point while we were painting, he looked at me and he said, "Do you think anyone's going to get it though? Like, do you think it reads well?" And I said, "Yeah, they'll just think that it's probably Robin Hood all fancy and dressed up." But you guys let me know. At the end of the video, when you see the full production, let me know if it reads as Riddler and if you guys got it right away or not. I tend to have pretty funny conversations with artists about subjects like this pretty often, where I will paint something that I came up with, whatever it may be, whatever character. If it's a dinosaur, 9 times out of 10, people are like, "Oh, is that Land Before Time?" And everyone wants it to always be from something. Even if it's just from my imagination, they just want it to be from something that relates to them. And that's fine. As long as it's something non-offensive that gives you some kind of like nostalgia or some kind of like good feeling of something you remember, that's fine with me. So if you guys see a fancy Robin Hood, fine by me. Maybe you see Tails from Sonic. Maybe you see Star Fox. Maybe you see the fox from Fox and the Hound. That's fine. I don't care. I had fun drawing this fox and painting it on a wall. This was actually one of the first times in a long time that I had a chance to go out and do some fun graffiti that was just for me, and I had a blast. It's definitely getting colder here in Connecticut, so there's not much time for me to get more pieces done before it is too cold to paint. I hate painting in winter. It sucks. I feel rushed. It's just not the same. This was a great day of painting, so hopefully I can get a few more in and record them for you guys before it is too cold. Here I'm doing a little shout out to the Nah crew. That is a crew that me and Twice are a part of. So we decided to kind of make it like almost like little ransom note, like cut papers. Every time I do something like this and don't put a YIC, somebody comments, what about YIC? Guys, I'm still in YIC. I love YIC. But this was a production I did with a crewmate from the Nah crew. So I'm doing a Nah shout out. And as I said earlier, I was too scared to add background and put anything around my piece. So shout out to YIC. I'm sorry I didn't put it in the piece. I should have snuck it in somewhere. All right, as we're getting closer to these final details, I want to give a huge thank you to my paid Patreon members. You guys are the best. Thank you so much. And if you want to help support as well, I will leave a link in the description of this video. There are multiple tiers, and I just updated one of them so that you could see long format videos first before they're out to the public. Another way to help support, of course, is to go over to my website, kbuart.com. I've got plenty of merch available, from my new coloring book to stickers. There's prints. There's plenty of original artwork available there as well. So be sure to check it out. I'm always trying to update it and put new stuff on this site. There's way more than what's being shown here, so check it out for yourself. All right, back to finishing this thing up with just a couple little highlights. And without further ado, here it is, the final outcome.